Hello folks, this is 2022 February March session, paper 1-2, and the question number is 13. So we are dealing with 13 only, not this one. It is about the chapter forces or upthrust, let us say. It says a rigid sphere is held at rest on the seabed. So this is the seabed, this is a water surface. A sphere is held here. When the sphere is released, it rises to the surface of the sea like this. The seawater has a uniform density, so rho is constant, constant. Which statement about the sphere from its release until it reaches the surface? So it moves from here to the surface. We have to find which statement is correct here. The first says the sphere always moves with constant acceleration. It says the sphere moves with constant acceleration. Is it true? Might be or might not be. So what happens is the motion of this thing, this A is guided by force resultant by mass, and the force resultant here will be equal to one of the force it experiences is when it is here, one is Fg and the other is F upthrust. So one is Fg and one is F upthrust, and the next one will be equal to, when it moves up there will be opposing forces. This is Fo. So what we have here is the value of a resultant force will be equal to Fu minus Fo minus Fg by this mass, A equal to this. Now if A needs to be constant, this whole thing needs to be constant. So Fu is upthrust will be constant, because the value of upthrust will be equal to mass of water displaced into Z, and this is equal to rho into volume of water displaced into Z. So for the sphere it has a certain volume. That's why the volume of water displaced is constant, because it's a rigid sphere. So this constant, rho constant, this constant, so Fu is constant, Fg constant, Fg is constant. But what about Fo? Fo is not constant, because when it rises up there is certain velocity here, and when the velocity is there, this Fo will be increased. At rest Fo is 0, but when there is velocity Fo increases, because Fo depends on velocity. So that's why this A cannot be constant. Fu constant, Fg constant, but Fo not constant, so that's why A cannot be constant. Next, the sphere always moves with constant velocity. This is again untrue, because this requires that A equal to 0. To have A equal to 0, we must have Fu minus Fo minus Fg is equal to 0, which means Fu equal to Fo plus Fg. To have constant velocity, this should always be true, which is again not true. It's because this is constant, but this Fo keeps on changing. So that's why it can't be equal at all times. So this also not true. Next is the upthrust on the sphere always decreases. It says that when it rises up, the upthrust decreases. No, because upthrust is like this. Rho is constant, volume of water displaced by the sphere is constant, because its own volume is constant. That's why Fu also is constant. So Fu should be constant. This is untrue. The upthrust on the sphere is constant, so this is true. The upthrust force should be constant. So choice number D should be the true choice.